You're listening to the Culips English podcast. To download the study guide for this episode, which includes the transcript, detailed vocabulary explanations, real-world examples, and a quiz, visit our website, culips.com. CULIPS.com. Hey everybody, my name is Andrew.
And my name is Morag.
And you're listening to Culips. Hey Morag.
Hey Andrew, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well, Morag. And actually, I'm kind of chuckling to myself right now because just before we started recording, you asked me if I could just wait for a moment while you got some of your tech set up, and you said Dongle life. Dongle life. I thought that was really funny. Could you explain to our listeners what dongle life means?
Dongle life is more of a situation that happens. So I currently work on a current generation MacBook Pro, so 2018, because of the sort of tech work that I'm doing.
Okay.
And so it doesn't have anything other than USB Type-C ports. No normal USB, no HDMI, none of this. So when you have to plug anything into the computer that is not USB Type-C compatible, which is a very new USB format, you need to own these dongles. And they're these little things that plug into the computer and turn one of those ports into a different or a series of different types of ports. The thing is, people often need a lot of different types of these, so you end up with a ridiculous amount of dongles, and it's ridiculous. It's too much, and that is dongle life.
Yeah, and Apple is notorious for creating lots of dongles because they can't seem to make up their mind about what kind of input format they want on their devices. I feel your pain because I was actually traveling recently and I didn't bring with me the dongle for my iPhone.
Oh no.
When I was staying at an Airbnb, they had a great stereo and I wanted to listen to music, but because my phone doesn't have a headphone jack and I didn't bring my dongle, I wasn't able to take advantage of it and listen to any music the whole trip.
That's a tragedy.
A tragedy, I agree. And Morag, today I'm going to talk more about this trip that I recently took in this Simplified Speech episode. And for all of our listeners that aren't familiar with Simplified Speech, it's our series where we have totally natural English conversations and we let everyone listen in, but we slow down our English just a little bit so that it's a stepping stone between kind of intermediate and advanced material. Just before we get started, I want to remind everyone that there is a study guide available for this episode. And it's really awesome. It contains a lot of great material, such as a transcript, detailed vocabulary, explanations, and examples, as well as a quiz and some prompts that you can use for speaking practice or writing practice. And if you'd like to download it, all you have to do is visit our website, www.culips.com, and you can do that there. I told you I recently went on a trip, but can you guess where I went? There's a lot of different countries in the world. I'll give you one guess, okay?
Well, I don't think Korea is particularly warm right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you went somewhere much closer to the equator.
Yeah, I went to a warmer country.
Yep.
But not tropical, not hot.
Not tropical, not hot? All right.
Not yet.
Mediterranean?
Oh, getting close, close.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Greece.
Oh, pretty close. Good guess. Spain. I just visited Spain.
Oh, hey, cool.
Have you ever been there, Morag, to Spain?
I have never been to Spain. How did you find it?
Man, it was amazing. It was one of the best trips of my life.
That's high praise.
You have to go. You really do. It's incredible. Unfortunately, I didn't have too much time there. I was there for 8 or 9 days, I think. And that time was divided up between 3 different cities. So I was traveling with my girlfriend. The first city that we visited was Madrid. And then we went to a small city about an hour outside of Madrid called Segovia. Mm-hmm. And we spent just a day there, actually. And then we went to Barcelona for the remainder of the trip. So I think there's a lot of other amazing and interesting cities in Spain, but we just didn't have the time to check it all out, unfortunately. But next time.
Which of those cities was your favorite?
Hands down, Barcelona.
Cool.
Don't get me wrong, the other 2 cities were really cool. I felt like Madrid was more of a capital city vibe. There is amazing architecture everywhere, but especially the Royal Palace that's in Madrid is quite spectacular. It felt a little quieter than Barcelona, maybe a little more conservative, perhaps, but it was a really cool place. Segovia is like kind of a medieval style city. There's a lot of stonework and brickwork. There's a castle and an old cathedral, and there's even an aqueduct there that was constructed by the Romans like 2,000 years ago, which was absolutely incredible to see in real life. But Barcelona was where it's at. It had great architecture, a great vibe, friendly people, good food, and the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea is there as well. So there's beaches. So it was really just a combination of a lot of different things that I like in one place.
That sounds wonderful. But I do have to ask, because I feel like it happens on almost every vacation. Did anything go hilariously wrong?
No. And
really?
When something goes wrong, it makes for an interesting and engaging story. And I've recorded a couple of podcasts about some travel nightmares that I've had in the past. But this trip was smooth sailing the whole way through. There was no glitches, no problems at all.
Wow, that sounds like you probably had a really relaxing and like refreshing time then.
Yes and no. It was definitely relaxing, but as I mentioned before, I traveled with my girlfriend for this trip, and I realized that we have 2 very different travel styles because I'm really a kind of go with the flow guy. I don't do too much advanced planning. I kind of just show up and then check out what I see as I walk around or travel around a city. And I'm also happy just to hang out at a cafe and drink a coffee and people watch. I think that's a good way to travel. I'm not too worried about doing sightseeing, but my girlfriend, on the other hand, is completely the opposite. And she made quite the itinerary for us, where we kind of had a morning activity, an afternoon activity, and an evening activity. Wow. Which turned out to be great because I saw so much more than I would have. And I realized, like, wow, doing some planning actually goes a long way. It's kind of a good idea. But the downside of that is that I was pretty tired every night. We were like in bed by 9:30, 10 every night because we were just zonked at the end of the day.
Well, that sounds like a good vacation growth time.
Yeah, totally. I felt it was like a mature vacation that people in their 30s take.
I'd be interested to try one of those someday.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of the things that impressed me the most about Spain in all of the cities that I visited was the architecture. I had been to Europe before, but I don't remember the countries I visited as being as spectacular and as impressive as Spain was, especially the churches and cathedrals that we visited. The medieval cathedral that we visited in Segovia, which, if I recall correctly, is just called Segovia Cathedral, was absolutely breathtaking. It was the classic kind of cathedral that had been constructed over, I think it was like 250 years it took to build, and it just had amazing art inside and religious relics, and just seeing a massive cathedral from the inside and the outside just really blew me away. Like, I was not expecting a cathedral to be that impressive. And when I went to Barcelona, I went to the famous cathedral that was designed by Gaudi called La Sagrada Familia.
I'm so jealous.
That actually left me breathless. Like, when I walked inside, I was like, wow. Like, I had nothing to say. I was just totally overwhelmed with how impressive of a building and a structure it was. And I've never seen anything like that was so overwhelming before. And I've seen a lot of cool buildings. So props to Spain for bringing it in the cathedral department.
I'm not a religious person, but when I'm traveling, especially in Europe, I always go cathedral hunting because they're buildings constructed to give that feeling to people, to impress upon them the enormity of God, so they're usually the only places where I've had similar experiences. It's really cool.
It is really cool, and I totally agree with you that I think the purpose of designing the buildings to be like this is to sort of reflect the grandeur of God in real life, right? And I've never had an interest, sorry to our Catholic and Italian friends, of visiting the Vatican before. It was never on my radar. But now I'm like, I really want to go to the Vatican.
Just be like,
and
whoa.
Check it out. Because I think I will get that feeling again if I visit the Vatican.
I believe so. Yeah, that would be interesting. I hope you get to go someday.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, Morag, that was my trip to Spain. It was a really good time. And Spanish listeners of Culips, I'm jealous. I was sad when I had to return to Korea. Not that I don't love Korea, but I just felt like especially Barcelona would be such a rad place to live. And who knows, maybe I'll get the opportunity to visit again someday. Well, Morag, thanks for listening to me ramble on here today.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you to everyone for listening as well. One more time, our website is culips.com, and that's the place where you can download the study guide for this episode. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please send us an email. Our email address is contact@culips.com. And finally, we are all over the place on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, we're there. So just search for the Culips English podcast on your favorite social media site, and you will be sure to find us. That's it for us. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.